So is November going to be bullish after the worst October we've had in 7 years? So I'm going to show you a little bit of data that might give us a little bit of hopium. You're also going to leave this stream with setups. So is November going to be bullish after the worst October we've had in 7 years? So I'm going to show you a little bit of data that might... Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. Now, I'm on the main channel today. You can normally catch me on Chart Hackers over here, and we do this type of stuff daily. Now, I've got my special guest here in the house, and unfortunately, he's not wearing his green or his red today.
I see there's some talk in the chat that I best be in green. Shirt's dirty again. Sorry, boys.
It's November. It's November. We've got a pup. I mean, it has to happen.
It has to happen, does it?
Yeah. So I've got an interesting thing for you where you're going to see there's a probability here that things can go up. Okay, well, just stick around here. Okay, let's go. Let's look at banter bubbles, yeah? Asta, and I'm not covering that one today. We've got some news on CZ. He's telling us he's just buying some Asta through Binance. I saw floating around at the moment. Dash is cooking. We're talking about Dash today. This is part of the privacy narrative. And ICP, funnily enough, is part of my shitcoin casino for the next short that we are busy hunting at the moment. So it is coming in pretty hot here, and there's a little bit of AI news floating around as well. So we got a lot to deal with here. Let's get into this BTC situation. Let me hunt my tabs here. There we go. Let's get this round all the way back here. And where are we? There we are. Okay, let's go. So BTC this weekend been relatively calm, relatively quiet, and I'd say a little bit of disappointing weekend if you're an altcoin trader, unless you're obviously sitting in some of these things that have been exploding like Dash and Zcash and some of those. But the general alts, and I'm talking general alts like Sol and Sui and ETH, they've been relatively quiet at the moment. I see Brian is telling us Rose is cooking as well. Well, that's an interesting one as well. James is giving me big eyes there in the back. And I mean, I haven't looked at that one in a while. But in terms of BTC here at the moment, what can we expect? So it's been relatively quiet. You can see we're squeezing between the two VWAPs at the moment, the high and the low. And the big thing holding us together currently is this 109,300 that we are watching over here. So this is a combination of the VWAP from the lows, that big dump we had the other day, the 200-day MA, and this 382. So this is our first port of call at the moment in terms of any little drops on BTC. We can watch this area. Now, we like to go and hunt our weekend lows, and you can see our weekend low at the moment is only sitting at 109,300. So in terms of first bounce zones, first sort of degen levels, guys, 109,300, obviously an interesting one for me to pay attention to. Then we know a little bit lower down, if they're going to come and bleed us a little bit now later on today, 108 could give you a little bit of action here. This is a typical 618 move on BTC. So one thing leaning sort of against any major bullish news or bullish signs for me on BTC is that our oscillator has turned a little bit bearish at the moment. So this could indicate that we want to drip a little bit lower here and maybe test at 108, maybe go down even as far as retesting those lows. But there is one catch here. And sometimes we can print bearish divergence on some of these tokens and obviously BTC, and that often results in quite a big sell-off. But if you're going to print bearish divergence on the oscillator, sometimes you get a little second pump. So what I want to say here is, okay, if the market starts taking off today, okay, there's a possibility that we're going to print bearish divergence on that 2 hour, and then we'll get quite a big drop maybe between 6 to 12 hours from now in BTC. So that is our bear case, is actually a pump to the upside and then a bearish divergence print. What is a bearish divergence print? Well, basically, it's going to tell us that the price needs to go higher and the oscillator needs to print a lower high. So examples here for me, 112,500, that's a nice rejection zone. And this 114 is quite a big high confluence rejection zone for me. And that's pretty much where my current short entry is on BTC. So if we're pumping up, guys, 112.5, 114, these are big danger zones for me. These could be the start of a big pullback. And if you're looking for scalps here, 109.300, 108 could come into play for now. Now, remember, I see Chaos is talking about a shift the ceiling. Well, that is essentially bearish divergence. So, guys, remember, I trade this stuff every single day on the Chart Hackers channel on YouTube. You can go and find me there. And we also have the Chart Hackers Discord, and we got a monster team in there, and they are just spoon feeding you guys setups, longs and shorts all day long. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, well, I'm sure the hackers in the chats here will let you know all about it. Okay, and Felix is talking about Pengu, and what else did we do yesterday? We did some S yesterday. That was filth. We had dupe. That was good. That was a good one. And we got a bear flag, says Ashley, at the moment. Yes, guys, so you got your levels, you got your zones. Just remember that bearish divergence print will often result in a slightly higher push. So if it is going to go up there, let's know FOMO up there. Let's add to shorts. Let's look for some exit plays if we do get that move. Okay, let's jump into some of the news here. Let's talk things like current lickies. And I must say, I'm quite surprised at the moment, okay, is 150 million. This is one of the quietest weekends we've seen in a long time. Now, after the 10th of October, when they basically sent everyone to zero, we were looking at $500 million a day, basically, at one point. 150. What do you make of this?
That's quiet. Surprisingly quiet. And I mean, I was busy yesterday, so I didn't get to trade, but I kept looking at the bubbles here and there and going, what the hell? This thing's up 50% today, Dash and a couple of coins. But
so where's all our drunk traders?
Right.
Was anyone? No one. You weren't drunk trading this weekend. I didn't do much drunk trading either, so I'm not part of the statistics at the moment. Okay, but guys, let us know in the chats who did some drunk trading. I see the levels are down a little bit, and who was feeling so good in January? Who was feeling so pumped in January that they said this is going to be my year? And here we are, guys. We're sitting in November, and fuck these guys. Okay, I mean they basically rinsed us now in October, and now we're going to fight back as hard as we can. So what I want to show you guys is a little bit of data here that maybe there's a little bit of hope here. I mean, I am running a poll at the moment. I want to hear from you guys. I want to see if you are feeling bullish about November here, or are you guys feeling a little bit bearish? Let's just jump into the show. I want to see the show poll here that we're running. Let's just take a look what you guys are saying. Wow, I'm a proper boomer here running through all these tabs. Okay, we've got 679 votes. Oh, they want me to vote. I've got to see the vote. Okay, anyway, James, maybe you can check in there and let us know what the votes are doing there at the moment. Okay, I want to know who's bullish. I want to know who's bearish at the moment there on the current situation. Let us know how you guys are going. Okay, let's talk. Here's the stuff, guys. We've got the first red October since 2018. Okay, it's the first one in 7 years. And if we look back in hindsight, was it too obvious that everybody was screaming October? Was it too ridiculously obvious that we were going to get rinsed? I mean, it had to have been something along those lines. So anyway, we had a horrible October, but now we do have another chance. Okay, here's another chance. We've got November. We can always count on November. So if you look at the numbers here from 2013 on November all the way up to 2024, we only had 4 Novembers, okay, where we got absolutely rinsed. The rest were pretty bullish. Yes, sir.
Did you say we can always count on November? I seem to remember hearing that last month. We can always count on October. October's always bullish.
No,
the chances of having a red October are like non-existent.
No, but this time is different.
And we had quite the fake out, though. The start of October, I remember I de-risked coming into October. Every month had been bearish, a bearish start to every month, and we rocketed, and I was sidelined. So maybe we could get lucky with a November starting that way.
Guys, let's just look at the numbers here. Okay, let's see what's going down. The average price, okay, look at the bottom here. The average November gain is 46%. Now, obviously, it's a little bit exaggerated because they did 449% in 2013, and I don't think we should even count that, okay? But if you look at November as a whole, we tend to get green Novembers. The only catch here is that we do have the last red October that we had was -3%, and we were like, sure, you know, maybe we're going to have a really bullish November. And look what they did. They went 36%. They went 36% down.
I'm not ready for that.
Okay, no, I'm not ready for that. Okay, like, I mean, I don't want to go through that, guys. No. So it is there. It is there. Okay, but you know, like, let's look at it this way. Like, we got rinsed in October. Okay, so the least they can do is give us November, December. I mean, isn't it just the absolute least they can do? And 𝗏𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗏 December. I like December as well. Okay, so that is that. Now, we do have a couple of things falling into place in terms of the macro situation, and we're not going to harp on too long about this, but we know, obviously, this China-US deal is obviously massive aggressive in terms of the tariff situation. And with this out of the way, maybe we can get a little bit more catalyst going on. We also can see NVIDIA doing really nicely. Some of the other stocks are pumping nicely. So maybe there is a little bit of hopium coming still in November. But the 𝗫𝗆𝗄𝗃 letter says this is the biggest de-escalation yet under the new US-China trade deal. Trump made a huge agreement with China. China will suspend all retaliatory tariffs announced since March the 4th. Okay, this is actually, like, it is really big news in terms of that. And the market, the S&P has actually been red. The crypto market, well, obviously got a little bit smashed, but that is the big one. Now, I spoke about this on my show on Friday or Thursday. We spoke about this, and we had Michael Burry, like the king of shorting, okay? And I mean, this guy's made a gazillion basically being short. And he said sometimes we see bubbles, sometimes there's something to do about it, and sometimes the only willing move is to not play. Okay, and this guy, I mean, he's basically tired. Is he giving up? Because the way the market is moving at the moment, it just keeps grinding and grinding and grinding high. And I'm talking about the S&P here and some of these stocks, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and that is effectively roll over at some point. So you can read this comment here from Level 91. He's just breaking down, but basically he's saying, like, this man is tired. You know, all the signs are there, and you guys saw me. I tried to short that S&P, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I eventually gave up on that thing, and it just, no matter what happens in the market, it just seems to constantly grind higher and higher. So have a read here from 941. He's got some interesting things to say about that now. And Dan says all he wants for Christmas is green. It's very simple, isn't it? It's very, very simple.
You know what, around here, and you maybe isn't a common thing for you, you don't get white Christmases, but if we don't get a white Christmas here, it's very depressing. The kids are upset, everybody's crying, it doesn't feel right. We must have a white Christmas. I'll be very happy to have a green one this year, though.
Well, let's have a green.
Shut up.
Let's lock in the green one. That's all we really want to see.
All we need.
We want to lift our moods. We want to lift our spirits. So, guys, S&P, like you can see, we have rejected once again on the S&P. If we do get a little bit of a rollover, there is a little bit of a bounce play here for us on BTCC. So we can watch this region over there, the 6,760. This is going to be a high probable zone where the bulls are going to step in and they're going to buy this thing. Okay, so if we do get this drop tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, I'll be looking for longs there, 6,760, somewhere in that region. Let's see if we can catch that one on BTCC. Okay, then we've got the next one is, remember, it's not the FANG stocks anymore. James, did you know this? It's now the gay man. And if you look at it, it's the Googles, the Amazons. We got what do we got here? Meta, NVIDIA. So this is a new way we can look at the Gaiman stock. So NVIDIA is part of the Gaiman, and CEO. And what's he say? He says President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping's New Deal ensures NVIDIA can compete in the China's market. Okay, yes. So that is now, remember, NVIDIA published their results not too long ago, and it excluded a lot of the China situation because there were tariffs and there were bans on certain products in China. That is now going to be lifted, and that is obviously going to be super bullish for NVIDIA because their last earnings were pretty bullish, and it was excluding this Chinese situation. So now they can start adding on some sales in China, and things are going to get a little bit more bullish, I think, for NVIDIA. And obviously this takes us back into the AI plays again, and we saw 𝗬𝗯𝗚 absolutely pumping over the last couple of days, and maybe it's time to really start focusing on some AI plays again. And we've seen ICP cooking. What are the other ones here? Render, we need to take a look at. AR, which is basically an AI type play, was absolutely flying as well this weekend. So some interesting movers out there in terms of AI things. Okay, and David says Aero bounced this morning. Well, I hope so. We need to take a look at this Aero as well. So guys, just touching on NVIDIA. Obviously, it's had a beautiful pump. I've gone into the 4-hour time frame in terms of, when you're looking at stocks, it's slightly degen on the 4-hour, and I tend to really trade these on the dailies. But looking at a nice level here for me, NVIDIA 193.8 looks very much like the S&P. So if we do get a little bleed out this week, I think we've got to have a crack at this 193 zone. We have to have a go here, and maybe we can catch some momentum on NVIDIA and send it a little bit higher. Then obviously our backup plan 182. If we are going there, you'll know all about it because we're going to be looking for longs. Okay, and I am not a bot, says Fetch has been flying. Has it been flying after all this bearish news? I haven't actually looked at it, but Fetch, there was some bad news on Fetch there, guys. I don't know. We'll have to check in on that. A couple of other stocks to watch this week. MicroStrategy. Let's pay attention to this one. There's still a couple of entries here, and if we do get a little bit of a dip, maybe a bearish couple of days here, that looks good to me. 235 looks really nice. MicroStrategy 195 looks really nice. So these are BTCC trades that we can try and tackle during the course of the week. So a couple of levels there. I'll obviously update you. And Mondays are super important in the Chart Hackers Discord because I cover a lot of the high time frame setups on altcoins. We do between 20 and 30 tokens for you every Monday, and you're going to get your bullish levels, your bear zones, all those types of things. And I'm going to update some of these stocks for you. So if you're a stock trader as well, come into the Chart Hackers Discord. We will make sure you are covered. Okay. And oh no, Dave says nothing's happening on Fetch. Okay, I appreciate that. Now, let's talk a couple of bullish and bearish things on BTC here. Maylius Crypto says, I'll be honest. Okay, well, that's always a good start. I'm traveling, but still checking my feed here. And then I bet you he's frantically checking his feed. He mustn't pretend he's not checking his feed. Okay, he says, Bears thinking this is the 21 style distribution, being confident the top is in. Okay, fair comment. Bulls, with many of them expecting we are to sweep lower as in March this year. That's option number 2. Okay, if we don't get a sweep below our range, this means that there's some serious absorption going on, which probably leads to much higher prices. I just like the look of this guy's chart. That says, okay, like, let's not be that bearish if we drop a little bit lower into the box. I think it's going to hurt the altcoins a lot, okay? I think Bitcoin bleeding for a few weeks between 102 and 92K in this man's box over here is going to do absolute destruction to a lot of altcoins. But again, looking at this, let's not get that bearish. And his comment on his EMA 50. Now, I track the simple moving average. I see he's tracking the EMA 50. He's saying this hasn't even been tapped yet. So, guys, again, like, let's not get too like overtly bearish here or bullish on the situation. We can see we are just sitting in a typical range here on BTC, and we play it as we come. Remember, Chart Hackers, we just go level by level. We don't look too far ahead here unless you're a long-term, and we were discussing this last week, unless you're a massive bag holder, long-termer, and things like that. Like, we trade this stuff basically day to day, week to week, and things like that. So Nicholas wants to send us to 104, a little bit bearish for the week, but I think we'll get a bounce there. That sounds like a fun zone there for us, Nick. And maybe Nick is right, because look at this. Insider OG Whale has deposited another 54 million on Bitcoin onto Kraken today. Okay, so that was earlier today. And since October 10th, this guy's done $727 million. Okay, so exiting some positions here. Maybe he's just taking a break. Okay, maybe he's taking a small break. You're just offloading, $750 million there on BTC. But in terms of the chart on the 3-day that I'm watching, it hasn't. I mean, look, I don't know. $1 billion is a lot of sell pressure, I guess, but like, it seems to be holding relatively nicely. So my big zones for me that I like still 106. You can see this wick down to 104 that Nick is talking about. So that region on the 3-day still looks good to me. If we come into that zone, we can look for bounces in that area. And then a little bit lower down, we've got the big psychological zone, 100K, 98K. These are big levels here for us. Okay, Gala all-time high was 80 cents. Price right now, 009 and almost 100X. Yeah, just a small little dip, guys. Just a tiny little dip there on Gala bullish. These bear dumps are boring. Yeah, I mean, look, guys, remember, sometimes, like, even if the market goes super bearish, like, there are going to be moments where we get these monster rips, okay? And these guys pump the living daylights out of these altcoins, and there's always some fun to be had. So don't get too despondent. Grandpa says tower short, guys. That tower short, we gave that on when was it? We gave it on Friday. We gave the tower short that pinged at 618, and it has rejected very nicely. I'm not covering that chart today, but I did cover it in the show on the Chart Hackers on Friday. If you want to go and check it out, that short was set up there for you guys, and that tower chart should be in the Discord. Now, one thing we can watch, obviously, at the end of a weekend is our liquidation levels. Look at this, 112 to the upside, and we've got 108 109K here to the downside. So you can see super tight range here on BTC at the moment, and very easy pickings for the market makers to give you a fake out either way, upside or downside. So what you want to watch for is if they drop it down into 108K, you can see this lickies over here on the 24-hour will be pretty much flushed out. If they pump you first into 112K, you can see the lickies to the upside can get taken out and give you a false move there to that area, and that ties in once again with these types of levels. So look out for action from the market makers. Don't fall for their big traps there. Okay, Jim Cramer said Monday bounce. That is tomorrow. Okay, that's not the best news we've ever heard. Look, I mean, does he ever get it right though? Like, I know, like, he does get it sometimes. Surely he gets it right sometimes.
I think it's a very small percentage, very small. You're going to do really well on a win rate if you just follow and counter everything he says. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Uncanny.
Okay. Shame, the poor guy. But I mean, look, at least he's having a bit of fun. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so now what you're going to get from me. Okay, we're talking 3 narratives here today. We're talking privacy narrative. We're talking the buyback narrative, and we're talking the X402 narrative with altcoin setups for you. So you're going to leave here with altcoin setups. You're going to leave here with 3 of the hottest narratives, and we're obviously going to cover ETH and Sol here for the next couple of minutes. Jim Cramer is just here for entertainment. Okay, let's go. Let's talk ETH now. What's going on now? I'm still sitting in a relatively decent sized ETH long at the moment, and I'm still torn between cutting this one or holding it. Okay, Dan says hype order hit. Yeah, we're going to sort you out now. So what's going on here with ETH was I was buying ETH last week before the major dump. I think I was buying it somewhere here. So obviously we dealt with a lot of pressure and I added to that position, and now obviously it's pushed up and it's relatively flat now at the moment, but it's still holding my bull zone. So I'm sitting in this this position here, tracking 3,820. You can see this is going to be our big first line of support here for the bulls, and you can see it looks very similar to BTC at the moment in terms of support levels. So I don't really want to start losing this zone. If I start losing this before I go to sleep later tonight, I'm going to have to start cutting this ETH position. I don't want to get pulled into a situation where Asia dumps us and then I go spend some time back at these lows again. So I'm going to start cutting some of the ETH if I lose 3,820. I'll show you that position now. And then we've got very similar backup zones here to what we looked at for BTC. Your next obvious zone is going to be that 618 for ETH, and that is 3,760 that you can pay attention to over there. Okay, so nice region there for us on ETH. These are little scalp zones. Let's see if that holds. If things get really ugly, guys, possibility obviously that we come back to these lows. Okay, how many times have you seen it happen in this market where they come, they pump you up, and then they bleed you out, they come and fill a portion of those wicks, and then they send it up again? Okay, so just remember, if you are obviously awake, you can watch the show and watch this thing drop into that zone. If you are sleeping, obviously we don't know, they might capitulate it even more. So, you know, just look after your position sizing, look after your risk, use stops in strategic areas, things like that, if you are planning this thing. Okay, so just there is obviously the danger of that downside visit. Now, let's look at Sol, and Sol as well, been super weak this weekend. Actually, ETH has outperformed. If you can see, Sol has actually gone down a touch here, and Sui actually dropped a hell of a lot as well in terms of layer ones, but ETH has been the outperformer. Now, what do we do with Sol? So what we can say is we can lock in the big level. Now, the big level for me, for Sol, has to be this 200-day moving average. Look at this, support, 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 support. So until we lose that, we actually can't get very bearish on Sol at the moment. So I'm using 179. This is my main guide that you can use, that 200-day MA support on Solana. And if we start closing under that, yes, guys, we can get a little bit bleak. I think things can get, we start hunting things like 140 if we get big closes under that zone. So typically what I want to see here is this, the 2-hour oscillator. I want to see some kind of reversal print here, some kind of move here, something like that. And it looks like we could be around the corner. Okay, so Sol traders, big support here, 179. Use that. If we lose that zone and we start closing under that area, then it is time to maybe start trimming things on Sol. Okay, so look out for that. And then in terms of upside, guys, let's keep it really simple. You can see the rejection zones here. I've mapped them out for you. 188. We've got the VWAP at 192, and we've got the 618 at 195. These are typical degen rejection zones that you want to pay attention to on Sol. You can see all of these are reasonable rejection areas if the market does push a little bit higher, especially if we get a situation like I spoke about with Bitcoin, where you pump up first, maybe we get a little bit of a bullish Monday, and then they start dumping us and send us lower down. Okay, so just manage yourself. If you do pump into these zones, these are obviously dangerous danger areas. Now, remember, all the charts you see on the show go into the Chart Hackers Discord directly afterwards. So you'll have access to all of these in the Discord, and obviously you'll have access to everything else that is going on in there. Okay, let's talk getting rinsed and not getting rinsed. So this virtual has been a very nice trade to me. I'm talking about this virtual in a couple of minutes. We're going to cover that. You can see it's given me $11,200 already in profit, and I've got $1,000 left in profit on this thing. Is there one more bounce coming? So I've got the virtual chart for you guys. Then I've got hype sitting in a big zone here, guys, looking for a bounce. I'm covering that. 𝗬𝗰, I'm not covering that today, but it is bull herring at the moment on a support level, looking for that to bounce. Trump short, I was covering that during the course of last week. Brett, nice little round trip for me at the moment, back at entry. XRP short, I told you that's a sport for me at the moment, trying to short that thing. And there's the current ETH long and my Bitcoin short that is still parking over there. Okay, and SandP69 virtual is his largest holding. Well, I think based on what you're going to see in a couple of minutes, you're probably making the right choice. Okay, now, Martin is talking about the privacy narrative. So you guys have obviously heard, or you've obviously seen all these privacy things pumping and ripping and doing all these things. So it's the latest craze. And remember, when the market is like it is at the moment, retail, which is basically all of us, okay, we're getting desperate for shiny new things or shiny new narratives that pump. And at the moment, everyone's talking about this X402 and everyone is talking about the privacy narrative. Okay, so now Zcash has like made an absolute revival. We've seen anything related to privacy getting a little bit of attention, and you can see this tweet from Martin here at the moment saying, how much retail trading volume do you want? And the answer was yes. I mean, look at these bars up here. I mean, is this real? I actually can't believe the size of this, but everybody is diving into this Zcash situation at the moment, and it's been quite a fun token to follow. It's been quite a fun token to trade. Now, 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏 says, why does ZEC go parabolic around market tops? Okay, now we've seen this time and time again. Remember, 3 Fridays ago, me and Dupes longed the top of Zcash, and the market absolutely capitulated. Okay, now, I mean, that wasn't a coincidence. We've seen this before with Zcash. So here we go. Zcash pumping. Is this time different? James, is this time different, sir? It must be different this time.
Surely it's got to be this time because we want it to be.
but it's the narrative. It's got to be.
It's a bit scary. Looking at that chart there, that every time that it's flying off and all these other, I saw a tweet earlier today saying, okay, Zcash is kind of topped out. Now we have the smaller cap ones like Dash and Pirate Chain and all these others going. That shows you tops in. Privacy narrative is about done.
Okay, guys, again, look, I know like everyone wants to chase these things. You can see they've absolutely exploded. So what we do know is when things start exploding like this and retail gets behind it, we see like divergence prints on 8-hour, 12-hour daily, and it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. And then eventually there is a monster capitulation. So what I can suggest is, if you are in from way lower down, as this thing starts moving up, just clip some profits along the way. And if you are looking for some degen situations, well, you've come to the right place, okay? Because we're going to trade this thing and we're going to bounce this thing and until it stops bouncing, okay? And once it stops bouncing, we'll figure out how to send it a little bit lower. So Zcash on the weekly, what I'm doing here is I'm looking at a higher time frame, then I'm looking at lower time frame. So Zcash on the weekly, you can see we've broken all-time highs. Can't say I ever thought I'd see that on Zcash. I can't say I ever thought I'd see a token from May 21 blow through all-time highs. I'm quite surprised here. So Zcash, big move here, and 372 is the previous all-time high. So can we use that area as our current support? So XMR still hasn't run. Isn't XMR more like for absolute criminals? Like, I think it's like major criminals and then less criminals.
Come on now. Yes, it is. That was the typical currency for the dark web. Monero has been for ages because it's completely private. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Completely
but
private.
It's also one of the larger caps.
Okay, there you go. So guys, in terms of a degen play, so what do we know? We know Zcash has broken all-time high. That's great. We know that Zcash can now move into price discovery. What is price discovery? Where basically we have no idea where it's going. We don't have any levels. We've got nothing to guide us. So what we can do is start looking at potential targets. And how do we do that? Well, we can use some science and we can pull out some magical fibs and we can start looking at targets. So my first target for Zcash here is 587 in price discovery. We played this game with hype many times, and what did we see? We saw monster dips and then eventually a pump and then something like that. Played out with hype. Okay, so maybe we're going to get the same type of move here out of the Zcash. And what you can do if you're looking for action is you can now start saying, okay, big target ahead. Let's try and catch this thing, and let's see if we can get these moves higher. So Zcash on the 2 hour, reversal print on the oscillator. Okay, and there we go. Yeah, buy high, sell low. That's a great strategy, guys. I love longing the top, shorting the bottom. It's a bit of a vibe. And here we go. So Zcash showing reversals on the 2 hour time frame. This is good. Okay, this looks pretty decent. What we need to look out for is number one, a straight reversal off this level. That's great. Okay, this Zcash will then push higher. Another thing to look out for is possible bullish divergence, which means the oscillator is going to print a new high, but unfortunately, the price might drop lower down and print a fresh low before there is a monster bounce. Okay, so Zcash traders, what do you need to look for in terms of, where's a reasonable bounce zone for this thing? I would say if you're trying to scalp this thing over the next couple of days, play safe here. But you can flirt around this area, 373 to 355. You can play in that zone, and we'll see how far this move can take us. Obviously, there's a lot to deal with after that in terms of resistance and things like that. So you can see what's going on here at the moment. It's pumped up support. It's now banged into a horizontal, and it might be pushing a little bit lower. So there is a possibility now that the Zcash drops to test the lows, 373, or ultimately it can drop into, say, 355, and you can look for some kind of bounce there. Okay, so any reasonable dips here in the market where it's not a complete shit the bed situation, about 8% down on Zcash, that could be a nice little mover. You're going to look for a bounce of between, say, 6 and maybe 8% in that region. And then if you start breaking that trend, we can start really pushing the size of the position, and we can start driving it a little bit higher. Okay, so trying to keep it super simple here. We'll make sure this chart is in the Chart Hackers Discord for you guys. And Antonio says bull moon coming on November the 4th. Okay, that is something to look forward to. And what happens? Yeah, I mean, here's the situation. Okay, it's the 2nd of November. We see often at the beginning of every month, not every month, but many months, we get sell-offs between the 1st and the 5th, or the end of the previous month, and say the 5th or the 6th of every month. So this is obviously a possibility, and we're sitting at the 2nd of November, so maybe a bearish Monday could be pretty good, and then tee us up for a bullish week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe some pumpage. So that is something on the table for us. And the bear market will end in December, apparently. ILV, geez, we haven't looked at that in a while as well. Now, ZK, here's another privacy narrative play, and Dupes is talking about this. I wonder if he's longing the top of ZK with me as well, as longing the top of Zcash. But here he is. He says, it isn't the loudest L2, but Atlas might have just flipped the script, okay? And for all the fundamental guys out there, you must be frothing at the mouth when you see a chart like this. But all I know is this is possible pumpermentals here, because they've taken out the L2 hub, and they're pushing it straight direct Ethereum liquidity. Sounds bullish to me, James. I mean, sounds like pumpermentals over there. So yeah, if you like Zcash, well, you can see what's going on. This thing's exploded. And what I like to do when these things happen is I like to zoom out, just pay attention to some big levels, and let's just understand where we are in the context of the move. So you can see at the moment, ZK has pushed into 0.8. This is major resistance. We can't argue that this is a big danger zone here to the upside, and that's a reasonable rejection zone. So what we can do now is we can say, okay, there might be some more energy in this thing. We do like that it's broken through the 200-day moving average. We do like that it's broken the 50, and this could be possibly a sustainable move. But what happens if we get a flush in the market this week? I think there will be some late longs getting taken out, but the real test is going to be on the higher time frame, guys, is look for longs 48. So if we get a massive dump in the market here over the next couple of days, this is a very strong zone that I want you to pay attention to. 0.495 down to 0.45. That's a very big zone, and that could be a really nice trade. My God, 65% off that move. Okay, that could be an absolute banger. Okay, so watch that area, 48 down to 44. That's a monster support zone. Then if you're slightly more degen, okay, like for example, if you're like hang out at Hackers and stuff like that, well, you know, maybe we can serve you. And Hold My Rod wants to short things. I hope it's not short, bro. But yeah, I mean, we can try and figure this one out. Like, you can see what's going on here. ZK. This is ZK on the 30 minutes. I've gone full degen here for you guys. So just zooming out again, reminder, you can see we've got support at 4.8. Okay, that makes sense. And let me just highlight this one as well. Okay, I just want to highlight this little area here for you guys. That could be considered a degen support zone as well. So you can see, you can map out these big areas. Okay, once we understand the big zones on the higher time frame, the daily, we can start playing in certain lower time frame areas. And you can see right here, this is the 200-day, 100-day MA support that we're watching here at the moment. So we're possibly going to get a short-term reversal on the 30. And what you can see going down here is a little bit of a head and shoulders here. Maybe we get a little drop. I would say you can look for something in that region. So 5.7 down to about 5.4 for me on ZK looks interesting here. Okay, and 5.7 down to about 5.4, that looks like an interesting zone. So setting up a little bit bearish here at the moment, so we can see this thing might just drop a touch. And now if the move is bigger and the move is a proper dump and this head and shoulders really starts playing out, there's your long zone. Okay, so I covered that one on the higher time frame chart. There's your big long zone that you're going to be watching. Okay, we'll make sure this chart is available for you guys in Chart Hackers. Let's just go back into that big area. There it is there. Okay, you see that one on the daily, you're tying it in on the lower time frames, and you can see that's pretty much your action zone that you want to pay attention to. Okay, so that is going to be zone number 2. Okay, so degen zone is 57 to about 55. You can even push it down into that 200 day, which is floating at 54. And then if we really capitulate, guys, that is a big zone. In fact, put your alarms on in that area. You don't want to miss that opportunity. If it drops into that zone, that is where you want to pay serious attention. Okay, let's go into the next one here. Dill, please hit me with some Asta. Melendi, you're going to have to come into the Sunday banger. What we're going to do, I do the Sunday banger with DJ and Dave every Sunday in the Chart Hackers Discord. It's for members only, and we break down the week, we break down the plan, we go through hundreds of altcoins, and Asta will do in the Chart Hackers Zoom, which is directly after the show. So if you want to see more, go into the show description link. Sign up to Chart Hackers. Come and join us in the Discord. And just a reminder, the Chart Hackers, this is Black Friday coming in, and the price of the Chart Hackers Discord is actually going up. Okay, but everyone who's already in the Discord before the price increase will never pay more than the $99. Okay, it's only for the people that will be coming after the price goes up that will be paying more. So if you're a current member or you're never going to pay more than that $99. Okay, quickly, let's touch on Dash here and just see what's going on. Another privacy narrative play. This thing is obviously a big pumper at the moment, and there's some interesting targets. So here's the big one for me, 127, and you can see what's going on here. We've blown through the VWAP, we've blown through major horizontal, and we can see immediately that 74.5 is possibly our first line of major support on this dash. Okay, so that's an interesting one here. Let's go lower down, and you can see here's our little degen bull zone, and you can see very similar to the ZK at the moment. We are potentially turning a little bit bearish. There's a lower high, and we might start dropping into that zone. So guys, longs from 75 makes sense to me on this dash, and we've got a nice VWAP coming up there as well. So look at about 76, 75 down to about 70 could be a nice long zone there for you guys, and this could come into play literally in the next day. This thing could come into play if we get a quick sell-off on the market. Another privacy one that people are talking about is this ghost situation. I don't know much about it. I just know it's a privacy narrative here at the moment. It's $22 million market cap, and it seems to be getting attention. Okay, this thing is grinding. So you've got ZK, you've got ZEC, you've got Dash, and we got this ghost that seems to be doing some interesting things. Now, I did tell the Chart Hackers about this a couple of weeks ago, and this was what, at about a $5 or $6 million market cap. So this thing is cooking now at about $22 million. So a nice little 4 or 5x there for the Chart Hackers members. Now, here's a list of protocols that do buybacks. Guys, there's obviously a big narrative here with hype and pump and all these types of things, and it's the buyback narrative, and that's obviously bullish. Now, there's a list of tokens that could interest you. Pump, hype, 𝗵, Syrup's a good one. Aave, we've been trading that. Even Dupe looks like an interesting one here, but you guys know I love to trade hype. and I'm sitting in a hype position, and looks like there's potentially that hype's going to bleed a little bit. I've obviously been loving hype around this type of region, and now we are looking a little bit weak here, but I'm hanging on to the fact that I believe we're going to get some kind of reversal pretty soon in the market, and especially on hype, especially after this weakness, and we are very close to some kind of divergence print here or something along those lines on the 4-hour. And let's take a look at the 2-hour as well. And you can see we're printing tons of reversals. So I'm looking for a hype reversal pretty soon. And for me, any dips now are adding opportunities. This is going to be a bullish scenario for me. And my big level now, after we're losing our 41.6, now that you can see, we now might have to start playing in our much bigger zone here. This is our 200-day moving average. This is our 618, and this is our 200-day, the 200-day, and these horizontals sitting in that region. So this is our next major backup zone. So if we don't bounce off this existing area, this big one for me is 39.6, 39.7, and I am expecting a move here. Okay, so a little bit red at the moment on hype. This is an add opportunity for me into that region. I am looking for quite a big bounce on this hype token. Okay, so I'm in it already. If you're sitting patiently waiting, there is a sell-off in the market. That's where you're looking, guys. 40 down to 38.5. That's an absolute banger in that region there for me. I really am expecting a bounce here, and this might actually be my when entry for you guys today. And what exactly is a when entry? Well, a when entry is after every show, I go into my channel in the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Discord, and I give an entry, a stop loss, and multiple take profits for a high conviction setup or a high conviction trade. And we probably get about 5 of those a week that we dish out. And this was our latest one here last week. This was 𝗬𝗃, and you can see we hit all 4 TPs there on this 𝗬𝗃 last week, and I even had to pull out the old twerk. Okay, I mean, sometimes you got to pull it out, sometimes you just got to do it, and especially when you hit TP4. I don't think you can pull out a twerk at TP1. I think you got to go TP4. Now, also, the last time I twerked was also the top of the market. Let's not forget that. Thank you, Matt. It also printed for me. It was absolutely wonderful.
I have to say, being busy this weekend, I just opened my exchange to look at my trades, went, fuck, I got stopped on 𝗬𝗃. Damn it. No, it was full TP, actually. I just assumed it was stopped. I thought, damn, I lost the trade. Nope, that's a good surprise to have. Just assumed it was screwed.
That's always a win. Always a win. Okay, guys, I got another banger for you. Pump has been showing weakness, but look at this. We've got a 618. We've got a bullish order block sitting in the zone. We got a nice cluster here, 4-1 into 395. We're getting a reversal on the oscillator on the 2-hour around the corner. I'm telling you, we're getting a bounce here on this pump. Okay, if it holds that, if it drops now in the next, if it drops in the next hour, bang. Okay, I'm telling you, there's a big bounce coming here on this pump. So 41 into 395 looks really, really good for me on pump. And you can see right now, it's actually fighting the VWAP. Okay, it might even give you a little something off that region over there. Let's talk 𝗬𝗃, and also one of the buyback narratives here. For me, this thing's pumped again. Now, I don't know what's going on, but there's a massive bearish order block sitting up here. So until this gets eaten out, you're probably going to find big rejections, okay, in this area. But what we can see is the bulls are fighting back hard here on this 𝗬𝗃, and there might be some opportunities brewing for you guys. So what you want to do is just start tracking the oscillators. You want to start paying attention to this 𝗬𝗃, because we know if the market turns bullish again, 𝗬𝗃 is going to make quite a big comeback. And who remembers how this thing was pumping not too long ago? Okay, so in terms of levels of interest here, let's just look at some basic levels here. And you can see we're dropping quite hard into the 618 zone after that pump. And in terms of a little scalp, guys, that is starting to look like an area of interest for me. 225, and then you've got a beautiful zone here, 221, guys, down to 218. That really looks good to me. Okay, so 𝗬𝗃 traders, have a go here if you want to have a crack. We'll talk about this on the Zoom in a couple of minutes. Probably about you'll probably get a 1% risk. Okay, so that's a nice easy one. And then a little bit lower down, if we do dump a bit harder, that is looking good to me at 221 to 218.5. Okay, Roundtable Talk says, how do I join the Discord? So this is all you need to do. Okay, you go here, bang, show description, click on more. There it is. My accelerator course, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Discord is there. My indicator pack is there. Hold on about the indicators. I want to tell you guys something. All the exchanges that you see me trading on, they're all here. Okay, everything is here for you guys, including Bitfunded. You guys want to trade with other people's money, everything is here for you guys. Okay, that is happening there. Then in terms of the indicators, all the indicators you see me using are my Chart Hackers Essentials indicators that I have now bundled for everybody. So what you can do is you can buy it off the show link, but then it's $69. If you're a Chart Hackers member, you buy it in the Chart Hackers Discord and it's $49. Okay, so if you a Chart Hackers member, do not buy it on the show link, buy it within Chart Hackers. It's there for you guys in the Discord. Okay, guys, let's talk this other narrative here. This is obviously a big one, this X402. And we've been going on about this thing, and there's a couple of plays here. Obviously, virtual is one of them. And the one I spoke about the other day was this Pay AI network that's giving us some amazing moves every time it drops onto support. So we know there's a lot of action here around this. Basically, what is this? An AI agent that is doing payments for you. And it's just another fucking crypto narrative. Okay, and everyone's getting excited about it. Here's the virtual's AI agent ecosystem map, if you guys want to look. And you can see there's your X402 infra. There's all your data agents, robotics. Basically, long story short, everyone is getting super bullish on virtuals again, and even to the point where they're comparing it to Sol and saying this thing should be absolutely flying at some point. So if you believe all of that type of drama, maybe it's something you want to get an entry for, and it's been a very good trade for me over the last couple of days, and I suspect there is a little bit more juice left to squeeze here. So there's our 1 hour. You can see it's bottoming out. Let's take a look at our 2. You can see our 2 hours getting close, but we're not quite there in terms of a reversal. But in terms of first zones, first areas of interest here, where there are longs, and for me, obviously adding to my trade. You can see my trade goes up and down in terms of size, because every time it pumps, I've been taking a little bit of profits. But you can see right now, this is the zone. 162 to 154 is really looking like a premium first zone here for me on virtuals. Okay, so anyone looking for a fresh virtuals trade, that's the region. 162, 154 is what you're looking at. And then this Pay AI, guys, every time this thing hits the support, look at the size of these bounces here. 57%, 75%. Every time it hits the support level here at 232 down to 215. Every time it hits the zone, it seems to bounce. Okay, so it's a fun little trade here. Spot only. Okay, don't do anything ridiculous here. Look for bounces off these support levels. This could be a fun one. And if that narrative picks up, obviously, you know, this thing could explode. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things. I'm running some trades on 𝗏𝗏𝗀 here. I've still got that Bitcoin Cash short that we're running at the moment. And I've also got the XRP short on 𝗬𝗏𝗃. So I just wanted to update these for you guys quickly. And essentially, XRP still looking bearish for me. Look at that on the 2 hour. Nice sell-off at the moment. And for me, every time it pushes into this high confluence danger zone, that's an add-on area for any shorts. Okay, so bearish for me on XRP. 257, big danger zone here. 257.5, that's a problem zone. If it pumps higher, 263, we short it even harder. Okay, so 263, 257, those are the big danger zones. As it stands right now, a little bit bearish. Maybe we get that dump lower down. So I'm sitting in a nice short there on XRP. No reason to close that. As you can see, we've lost the trend. We've retested. Maybe we're going lower. In terms of Bitcoin Cash, this was also another short play here. Possible bounce coming. Okay, so just be mindful of that possible bounce here to the upside. Let's see. Okay, I'm not closing that short at the moment. 525 is support. If we lose that, I think we get our next target is 510. So anybody still riding these shorts with me, 510 is going to be the next one. 497 is going to be the next one. Look out, this thing's super volatile. Maybe something like that on this guy later on today. And Trump token still in that short as well. And possible bounce. Yeah, look at that. 2 hour showing signs of reversal. So again, we don't know what type of momentum we're going to get out of the market, but anybody short here, this is a reasonable area to take profits. It looks like there's potentially, bang, a bounce coming on this Trump at 747 down to 73. Okay, 747 down to 73. Okay, guys, I'm jumping into the Chart Hackers Discord now. We're going to do the Zoom. It's the Sunday banger. Look forward to seeing some of you there. If you guys are new members, come in now. We're starting in 35 minutes. We'll get it cracking. James, thank you, sir.
Good luck, everyone.
You'd like to say? Oh, say that again. Good luck,
everyone.
Okay, guys, Catch you later. That's always fun on a Sunday to hang with you. I haven't been on the main channel in ages. Okay, see you later.